Yes, learners, like we concluded yesterday, we do not have enough time to finish the whole lesson. This is Mr. Mish again taking you through the book cover in graphics. We said graphics is just the art of communication using images and texts. We are using images and text or words. And yesterday we learned how to organize a book cover. We looked at the front cover, we looked at the spine, and we also looked at the back cover. The front cover, the spine, and the back cover. And we saw all the components of the front cover, components of the spine, and the back cover. We all know what the back cover contains, the front cover contains, and the spine contains. Now my issue is, yesterday I didn't have chance to talk about letters, to talk about illustrations. Before I talk about letters, let me talk about illustration first. We have our front cover, as in this is our front cover. We agreed that the information on the front cover can be reorganized. In most cases, people have the title, then the images or illustrations, the edition around here, and the author's name. This is the edition. We have the author's name. Then we have the pictures, images. We have our images here, or illustrations. But we said we can reorganize this information, put the author up. We can also carry this edition and put it somewhere here, so we can interchange as I told you yesterday. I was just doing some bit of revision. The video as we did yesterday. So today I want us to look at illustrations. I want us to look at the illustrations. How am I supposed to do an illustration? When we are drawing illustrations, we are talking about graphic illustrations. We are not drawing human beings, putting a lot of details on it and putting the darkest tone, the lightest tone. Those ones don't work here. We only need a few techniques on how to handle a graphic design. Now we are looking at a drawing. Let's assume I have a simple cup and the source are down. And I want to shade it graphically. We can use around 3 techniques. The first one is we can have this. I have my simple cup, small cup, like that. Then put a small design there like that. Then sauce are down. Then a small cup there like that. So when we are shading this, sometimes we can only use lines. We can have a bit thick lines, make them run downwards, but you also follow the art of the curve. If it is curving, please put some art such that it is also appealing to people. So we have these lines. For example, I have this. I will just magnify these lines here like that. I will amplify them. Same thing applies here. I'm amplifying the size of the lines there. Doing that, then I shade them. So when someone sees this, automatically will have the simple interpretation that that is a curve. Because we are presenting it graphically. We are not in still life drawing and shading the dark parts and the lighter parts. No. This is just a simple representation in the graphics of what we want. Then we can have some small thing there. We have our curve, maybe the handle there like that. Even with the handle, we can still put lines there. We can do that. Then the same applies to the bottom thing. This simple source. We can also put a few lines there like that. Also make them thick like that. We take them that way. And so we can use lines actually to give people information about this. So it's not necessary for us to shade from the darkest part to the lightest. Now, if you can't do this, or if you feel it is not so much appealing to you in this way, if you're dealing with a graphic artwork, okay, let me complete this up. You can also put the two lines like two up there like that. And that's done. This is our first illustration. You can use lines. My second illustration is I can use a flat color. Just use a flat color. You can get blue and smear on the whole, following the art of your object that you're shading. For example, let's take the same example. We have that cup there, having that. Then still continue having the same shape, create that. Then we are saying we're having the same information. Okay, let me first go through. Yeah, then first go through like that. So we have something like that. Then that's the base. Now we are saying we want to have a different way of shading this graphically. This is technique number 2, or another form of shading these graphic items. Then I've said we can shade the whole of this dark. So I'll leave some space here between that line, the border of that cup. We shall have it that way. Then we shade the whole of this dark. Just use a flat color without shading, like this part is dark, and let it be uniform up the other part there like that. Just shade the whole of it dark. Even here up, we can leave some space there and shade the inside part also. Just dark or black, like that. Just keep leaving some small lines, some spaces in between those shapes. We have this oval shape around there. I've left some small space there. I've also left some space there, and I'm doing that. So the same applies to this cup here down. We have this base, the base of the cup. We can leave a small space there like that. Move it around there, move it that way. Then the remaining space here, we are shading it dark. The whole of it dark. Then still, the other small design of the plate, or the plate we are having here, that small part, we can also leave some small space, then we also shade it just like that. Then the handle, it's the same thing, you can also shade it dark. So we have a few spaces left here. We have a negative space here, we also have a negative space there, there's a negative space there, a negative space here. So it's also another way of making graphical shading in our artworks when we are dealing with the graphics. We can also add the third one. If those ones are not enough, we can also do this. Get the same information, we can draw the same thing like that. So I want you to keep trying out, and you'll find out which one works for you best if you keep on practicing, because these are all options that we can use. We can include even 2 of them. If you have around 2 objects in the same task that you're given, you can use both of them. So we have this same object, and I'm saying we are trying to learn how we can make graphical illustrations. So we are having this. You have that. I have this. Then a simple base like that. Then what I'm trying to say is, why I've opted for this is, we can now shade the background. We can get a different color and leave the whole of this white. We can leave it white. Just shade the background, maybe dark or black, like that. Just shade around the whole object. This is what I have done. Shade around the whole object, like that. I am shading around the whole object. I am trying to create a graphic illustration, something like this. Shade around the object and leave the object white on its sides. I have surrounded this object with one uniform kind of shading at the background. I've only shaded the background and I've not shaded the object. I have decided to do that. And when someone looks at this, it's a clear information that maybe this person was trying to give us a cover, something like that. So these are 3 ways we can also. Maybe let me talk about the last one. We can create lines. We can create movement in these objects here. When you create movement, let's say this one, the first one, At least you feel it is a bit enticing, it is attracting, it is fascinating. Then if we add in more art in this, it becomes so beautiful. Let's try to see the fourth way we can. There are so many ways you can make a graphic drawing, but I'm trying to look for the simplest that we can use. Then let's have this. Yeah, I know most people have challenges here, but let's try to do this. We have to be a little bit creative in this. How to create movement in a given object. So we have this. We are going to create something like that. We're having the same thing, then we shall have it that way. So in this, I want us to put a few beautiful meandering lines around here. Let them keep moving as we follow that art that we have. So I can have mine like this. Let's have that line there like that. Then when I reach somewhere there, I'll drag it backwards from where I started from. Then we move like that. Create that kind of space. Something like that. I know all of us, most of you can create these beautiful lines in a given object, and we shall shade part of some of these shapes that we're trying to create here. Then we can also add another shape. Maybe you can go a bit from around here like this, create it and take it back like that. So briefly, that's what I have done. Then inside here, at the top part, we can also create, say, I have a line like that. Then when you move the other side there like that, I can have it this way. It's also catered for in the top part. I have something like that. So we can decide on which shape we can shade. Maybe shade this one here. I have created that. Of course, now we have negative spaces and positive spaces. We have parts that are shaded and we have those that are unshaded. We can also have this, shaded this, like that. We are trying to create beauty by giving people those the rhythm in the lines. The same as this. We are trying to shade part of this such that it's a little bit attractive to most people. So we are having something like that. Like that, you need some. The same applies to the saucer down. We are going to have the same information. We are going to create the same art in that. How do we create that movement in those lines there? So we can also have the same thing here. You can think of what you can draw here. And maybe you can create the same related lines like you've used in the cup. And we have the same lines here. Like the ones I'm putting. So the first one is that. Then still, after the first one, I can add another one below that cup, like that. Then even this way, we can put a few lines like that. And can make the others also bold. Then decide on those shapes, which one do you want to shade darker, which one do you want to leave. So that we develop negative and positive lines. I have created mine here. I have a few positive and negative lines. Even this bottom design of the cup, you can create something below it such that it is attractive. The same applies to the bottom part, the base of that saucer. We have it this way. This is the fourth way of creating graphic designs here. We are trying to discourage the other business of most of us trying to shade from the darkest part to the lightest, trying to show people light and darkness. It doesn't apply here in graphics. It doesn't at all. So want us to try to master these few techniques that we have. So we have from number one, I've said we've used lines. Number two, I've said you can use a single color that is flat and work it out there. Then two, we can also use this system, a business of shading just the background. Create your objects, then after creating your objects, now you shade the background. It will work. Give it time. Just give it time. Keep on practicing. It will work for you. Just create your good image, then try to apply this kind of idea here. Then number three, we've said, I've said we are shading the background. Number three, we are shading the background. Number four, I have said we are going to put in those beautiful lines, meandering lines that create beauty in these. So when we are dealing with these shapes here, I mean the illustrations, please try to, you can even mix, if you have items like 3 items that you're trying to put in your task that you want to use for shading, then you can pick these, try to combine. Pick a single object, use this kind of shading. Pick another one, use a different way of shading. And you can work, get this and combine it with the other one. Or we do this, use this system and the other one. Both of them work. The major purpose is, has it served the purpose that is intended to? Has it communicated? Have you communicated to people that this is maybe a simple message for breakfast? Yeah, this is what I'm trying to create. Maybe going for breakfast and having that kind of information there. So I expect us to have a simple way of representation. So when you have some simple time, some little time, please sit down and create this, try out this, try out that. By the end of the day, it can work. Let's say we also have something like this, maybe a fruit. Maybe you have a fruit somewhere. Maybe you have a fruit somewhere. You draw it that way. We're having it like that, like that. I know you know this kind of fruit that I'm trying to draw. So we're having it that way. So how can I create beauty on this fruit here? Without shading it from the darkest part like that, the lightest. So how do I go about this? So we shall start like that, move on up to the other side. Then maybe I can also create another one. Create this. So we need your creativity here most. We need your creativity in this kind of. So the remaining things we can put a few lines like that. You can keep on create something different, something unique. So me, I'll just use the lines there, and I can decide on which ones to shade dark and which ones to leave. So I'm saying these are my positive parts that are shaded like that. I am also shading this like that. I have also shaded the other line that we've created. I'm also shading the inside part like that. So that's how I've tried mine. We have put a few lines, we have negative parts, we have positive parts, and it will work for us. So I think I'm done with the illustrations, but I have some work here that I need to show you. We have this kind of work. Yes. Let's look at those illustrations. Let's look at those illustrations. Someone is talking about the musicians. The musicians. Now, if you look at those musicians, look at the images behind that, behind the letters. They are made to be close to each other. When we are dealing with the illustrations, don't isolate. Like if we are dealing with this kind of information, do not bring your spoon and throw it somewhere here. Yeah, you have your spoon somewhere here, you put it somewhere there, and you just throwing it somewhere there. It may not work. So try to create a design within those objects. Pull them closer. Let us have some movement within them. That is, create a shape behind that will be attractive to people. So some people keep on isolating objects. Maybe I have another work here. Yeah, like this is what I'm actually talking about. This person here gets his, the person gets the artwork. It has very nice shadings. It's also talking about music, the jazz music. And when you look at that, that lady is a bit isolated from the gentleman up there. So we want us to try to pull this work closer, like we saw in the first work. Let someone have a feel of your work. I have talked about shading the object flat. You make it black, like that person has done. Then you can also leave some parts white, some parts dark, as you see in these illustrations. So please, when you're dealing with illustration, like graphic illustrations, I want us to get a little bit serious. We are not in drawing, in still life. Here we want to see a shape that is simple to everyone. We are communicating to people who have ever gone to school and those who have never gone to school. So those who don't know how to read must interpret immediately what you're trying to send to them, that message. Let their eyes interpret to them instantly. Like you seeing that person is blowing like a trumpet, then the letters are talking here. So what kind of letters are we choosing for this kind of message that we are having? So with illustrations, at least we've seen a sample. Don't isolate objects. You get your spoon here and throw it that way. You get this, you get a sugar bowl, and you want a few things. You don't congest. Yeah, most of us like picking so many objects because we are talking about breakfast. Now we want to bring everything, every fruit. You bring a sugar bowl, you bring a spoon, you bring a fork, bread, and what? We don't have time for all that, and there is no space for us to draw all that information. What we need is pick out key things that you think are a very good representative of what you want to send out. Now what we do is select what you can. If there are spoons, I can make these spoons appear like there are X somewhere there. Put a spoon behind there, maybe be shown behind there, and then put another one here. I'm trying to organize it artistically. I'm trying to put some art there, so that whoever sees this, yes, it's a cup, a spoon, and a saucer, something related to breakfast or eating. Want something like that. But most of us want to isolate objects. And we always want to create what we call visual noise. People are seeing a lot of things on the same page, on the same small space. People are seeing a lot of things. In graphics, we are trying to avoid what we call visual noise. You're drawing so many things. Okay? Drawing so many things on a small space, and your message will die out. So we are trying to avoid what we are calling visual noise. Select one or two things, and you'll be representative of what you want to send out. Now, like if I was given a task on maybe breakfast, a menu, this is what I would do. If it's a menu, I will just pick this cup here, that thing, and I'm done. Maybe if I can get a few fruits here, maybe bogoyas and what. I can put a few here, or organize already somewhere there. I don't want to put so many things here to kill my information. The purpose of graphics is to send information to people. Once you do a lot of things, it may not work for us here. So I've already talked about visual noise. Please draw a few things. Look at these people here. This person would have drawn so many things about music. Would have drawn so many things about music here. There are drums, those long drums, we have these short drums, we have guitars, we have adungu, we have a lot of things that we can draw. But imagine this person trying to put in a few people. There are only two people with a trumpet, and they're trying to enjoy the music, as you see. And the letters are also not isolated. They are trying to organize these letters close to one another, so that the message is a little bit clear. And we can do this by also identifying the colors that we're supposed to use. Those colors that you see there are a bit different. They are related but a bit different. So yellow is standing out, and it is not obstructing red. And red is also not obstructing yellow. The same applies to black. So I want this kind of artistic mingling of the colors that will send out a simple message to people. So these people had, as you see, the paper is big. This person would have added a lot of things. For example, the big drum, as I've said, the long drum, a guitar. But this person has only chosen a few people, only two, and their trumpets. And they're not just standing or showing us that they're enjoying the music. We have that kind of movement that has been shown into these people here. So when we have that kind of artistic message with us, people will enjoy. They want to see rhythm in our work. They want to see the feel of the music. They want to feel it also. So I want us to have this. As you're trying to draw out the work that I gave you a question yesterday, and I said, in our previous lesson, we said it's about the art of music. I want something unique. Don't just copy this direct and send to us. No, I want you to create something that is unique about music and show me like people are not static. These people have movement in them, and I'm actually enjoying this person's work. So I expect a lot of work, some good work from you guys. So let me proceed to letters. I think we are done with illustrations. We can make a flat illustration like that. Use a flat color. Obviously, people will say these are people because the shape shows they're human beings. So do not struggle to do a lot of things from this little space. We don't want visual noise. That is it. Let's move to color first. To letters. Let's work out on letters. Now with letters, we have so many techniques of creating letters, interesting letters. But for now, I know our time is again limited. So what we have to do is, I'm doing a summary of this first. I know you've gone through a lot in data construction. And in those letter constructions, we have a few techniques, a few skills that we can use to create beautiful letters. And the first technique that we use is shapes. Create letters from shapes. The other one is, we call it the addition. The addition skill. Then we also have what we call subtraction method. Then we also have what we call exaggeration. Exaggeration. Yeah, you can exaggerate something, create something that is nice out of it. So we are going to look at this. I know your teacher taught you letters, and we have the other ones of constructing boxes. But on that technique that he gave you of construction, he didn't tell you that that is the final technique of producing work. You need to be very creative. Look at the type of question that you're given, the task that you're given, what kind of letters suit that particular task. Do not bump on letters. And yesterday I had a literal set here, which I've a little bit misplaced. I had a literal set that showed all types of letters and how you can create these different styles. Now I want us to choose. This is music. I want letters that suggest there's some bit of music in them, and don't make them so complicated. Do not make very difficult things for other people to read. Put some art and let them be readable. Let somebody be able to read what you're trying to communicate here. So let me start with the exaggeration. In exaggeration, there's one word I like. These people make, the tires. This Pirelli thing. Pirelli. Someone got P, exaggerated that P up to the other side like that. And it is interesting if you look at it, the original bit of it. Yeah. So this is what someone has. And that is letter P. Someone has exaggerated the other top part of P. Then we have letter R, Pirelli. And he has written it around here. P, Pirelli. And it's very interesting. So it's another, but mind you, these ones are supposed to be constructed. Don't just write using your ordinary writing. That's not graphics. Using your ordinary writing, the one that you use for notes, it doesn't apply here. We need a lot of time. You need to concentrate on this, such that we produce perfect work. What I'm actually talking about is here. Exaggeration. If it is M, can I exaggerate M? Can I have something like that? Maybe I have my M like that, like that. I can exaggerate the other last bit of it, something like this. Yes? Like that. I have made this lower part longer, and these parts are shorter. The same applies to my letter P here. The letter P has been exaggerated. Has been exaggerated. It's appearing a little bit bigger. But this is someone's artwork, and it worked for us. Everybody gets a message from this, and finally they create a tie around here, and the message is clear. Someone creates a tie around there like that, and that's Pirelli, and it works. So the first technique that you can use is from the other usual way of measurements that we used to have, 5 by 3, then 5 by 5. Yes, you can use that business, but out of that, I want us you learned the behaviors of different characters. For example, this letter M, you know its behavior. From A to Z, we know the behaviors of those characters. Now, from those characters, all the letters, we can give it time. We practice and create something unique from this. I have given you an example of generating a letter like that. Then still, this girl has done this. We have this artwork that you're having. Let's look at letter T. Yeah, there's some addition that someone has put there on that letter T. And it's also interesting, it's creating some art in it. So I want that art. Let's not be robots. We should think, we should create new things. Yeah? We should not only cram what the teacher tells us. No. I want you to do some research, create something that is. Then still, let's look at the addition method, the shape, the subtraction. Okay, let me look at the subtraction before I go to addition. I can create a letter like letter A here. We have never done that one, but only that we spend a lot of time when you're not in it, when you're not in touch. So sometimes I know most people get difficulties in this. So after constructing your letter A, I'm assuming that this is my letter A. That's my letter A, something like that. Yeah. We can add a beauty here by chopping off a few parts from that letter. For example, we can say to do this. I'll chop a small part of that letter like that. I'll remove that. Then we rub that, rub that. I have put some art there. You saw the other that we had. So we are rubbing off that. Yes? We are doing away with this and we've done away with that. The same applies to the top part here. We can also subtract that if need be, if you feel it works. We can go by that. If it's letter B, we can also do the same. We can subtract. Let's assume this is our letter B. Yeah, this is my letter B. And we're having this. We're having that. So we are creating bit again by subtraction. We are creating this bit by subtraction. It's okay. By subtraction. So we have subtracted that part. We can create something like that. Then we also do this. We do that. Then we also remove some part there. So you can remove any shape that you want. But I'm dealing with the subtraction. That is it. So we need to find off creating video with our letters. Then still with our letter A, if it's addition, we can have that. Our letter A is here. Our letter A is here. Yeah, we can have that. We have that. Now I can decide to put a few curves on it. I'm adding my own thing such that I create beauty in the letter. I have added that small part there like that and I've added that. So when we have this and we have that, I've added something onto my letters. That's with the addition method. We have talked about subtraction, addition. We can also go to exaggeration. This is basically what we can look at, and it will make our work a little bit different from other people. So addition method, subtraction. Let's choose get a letter set, look for letters that can work for us here. So I hope, yeah, in case there is some information, I know we shall get in touch and we shall keep on, we shall get in touch with you and we answer some questions that are hanging. So otherwise, thanks a lot for today. Maybe meet next time.